Hi, I'm Natalie Jill, fat loss expert turned lifestyle and high performance coach. Welcome to Listen Up, the podcast. On this podcast, I do what I do best, taking complicated information that is relevant to us now and breaking it down simply with actionable steps you can implement to level up your life. I also regularly interview some of the most inspiring and courageous men and women on the planet who, at their worst, learned how to achieve success greater than anything they ever dreamed possible, creating everything from nothing. If you are new here, I encourage you to go back and listen from episode 1, when this podcast was previously called Leveling Up, for the full transformative experience. Doing a little something different on Listen Up today. I think he's my favorite person. Yeah, he's my favorite person. But when you hear this topic, you'll understand why I just said that. I've got my husband, Brooks, with me, and we're going to be sharing a little bit about what we learned being stuck, quarantined, trapped, sick together in the house for 2 weeks. For those of you that don't know, you might want to listen to my last episode. I shared what we just went through with both of us getting the COVID at the same time. And we both were pretty sick. We are recovered now, which is a really, really great thing. But I shared all about that in that last episode. But this episode, I wanted to share what it was like being quarantined with my husband, literally on the couch for 2 weeks with no visitors, nothing else. Some things that we learned about each other, for sure. What do you have to say about that, Brooks?
You gave it to me.
I gave it to you. I did give it to him. It is true.
You were a couple days ahead.
I got it from my daughter, and then obviously my daughter, she's 13. She's full on sneezed on me. So I know that's how that came to me. But sleeping in the same bed with your husband, it would be pretty hard not to have given it to you. So I'm sorry about that, babe.
It's quite all right. I've never had any fears or worries about it the whole time.
But we did learn a lot about each other, and we wanted to share some of that here with you. First and foremost, this is my recommendation to anyone listening. If you're not married yet, make sure you actually like your spouse before you get married to them, because in sickness and in health really means something. And yes, I do love my husband, but it's a good thing I really like him too, because you learn a lot about a person being sick together and literally being on the couch where you feel like you can't move, you don't have any energy for 2 weeks together. So it's a good thing I like you, babe.
Thank you.
But I wanted to share some things that we learned. First, gosh, I feel like I really learned the unconditional love of a dog. I mean, Flops was with us the whole time. We have a golden doodle. He was with us the entire time. We felt bad. There was no way we could even take him for a walk.
Yeah, a lot of times it was a big debate whether you actually wanted to go downstairs to the kitchen or something like that. So he definitely did not get any walks for, what was that, like 10 days, 2 weeks?
At least.
Because you were a couple days ahead of me. So
but almost 2 weeks.
I think it was a good 10 days, because then you took him for a walk because I still wasn't moving. It
was one of those things with that virus, like walking to the other room took a lot out of us. We would get winded so quick, and we'd be upstairs laying in bed watching TV, whatever. And just the thought of like, okay, who's going to go downstairs and feed him and let him out? It just was a lot of work. It's really crazy, that virus, for me, it kicked my butt. It definitely kicked my butt.
I mean, here's the thing I said from the beginning, like, hey, who wants a sore throat? Who wants a head cold? Like, nobody's going to raise their hand, Again, for 99.98% of people, you're going to be fine. Like, I had a rolling fever for 6 or 7 days, definitely had a solid 2 weeks of being very, very lethargic. I was lucky I didn't lose my taste or smell. I didn't have a sore throat. I didn't use one tissue. I was just really, really fatigued and, tired. Mm-hmm. And in the end, it's what you're going to make of it. And so it was just taking that time to enjoy the rest and all those things, which was actually a blessing.
Yeah. And we had very different symptoms. All the things he said he didn't have, I had. I lost taste and smell. I did have the sore throat. I did use 10 boxes of tissues.
It was kind of funny because Natalie put her nose in a gallon of bleach and couldn't smell it.
Well, let's just back up on what happened was the morning that I figured out I didn't have taste and smell, I went to have an egg, and the egg tasted really funny. I was like, what is wrong with this egg? And then it hit me. I'm like, I wonder if I lost my taste and smell. So I started smelling things and I couldn't smell them. So then I went and opened the bleach and I couldn't smell that. And that's how I knew.
So again, she smelled the bleach and that's how she knew, but she decided to come up to the bedroom and my wife has some spray that I don't even know what it is that she sprays, and she sprayed it like 15 times. She's like, I can't smell it. I'm like, I got it. I can, and enough.
Anyways, that's not what this episode's about. This episode was about some things that we learned and being sick together. I want to say that one of the biggest things that came up for me, and we had a little different experience with this, is I'm very much in tune with what I try to take into my days when I'm healthy. Like I'm very aware of it. I'm going to work out. I'm going to listen to podcasts. I'm going to focus on the books that I picked out. I'm going to be very aware of who I'm talking to. I'm very much a believer of what we take in affects our whole mood. And especially working with so many women in the fat loss space, I know how important this is because a lot of times, especially when they're always scrolling social media or watching TV, they go down this negative, path where they don't feel good about themselves and they feel like there's not a positive outlook on things. And for me, this was the first time in years where I was watching so much TV or just scrolling social media just because that's all I could do, really. And the mood that it put me in, just this doomsday mood, like with no creativity. And yes, we were sick. That's a big reason why. But just this overall depression of what's wrong with our world and just all these things, I really saw how much firsthand that really affects us.
100%. And that's a big thing with me. I have a big awareness around that. So I cap myself to 37 minutes a day on Facebook and Instagram.
Why 37 minutes? Where did you get that number from?
It's a long story, but I
think we all want to know. What's the 37 minutes?
Well, I just wanted to end it in a 7.
Okay.
So that's why.
So it's not a long story.
That's
just a sentence.
Just, keep it in it ends in a 7. And for me, I used most of my 37 minutes on Instagram to look at paragliding videos and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I spent a lot of my time was reading. And yeah, there's just, whether it's Netflix or Prime or whatever it is, we haven't had cable in 4 or 5 years. So I don't really watch a ton of TV, but just having to be very aware because you can get scrolling in the news. And again, just so much of the content that's created out there, it's not very serving.
I didn't watch any news per se, but I did watch a lot of junk TV, like a lot of junk, like a whole series of things. And what's interesting about it, for me, it's a rabbit hole because it feels like, okay, this is good. It's distracting me from feeling sick. I can just tune out and watch this. But it really does poison your brain in some weird ways.
Yeah, it really depends. I watched The Chosen, which was awesome.
Well, I watched that too with you. I loved that.
You watched that with me. And then, but there was a lot of times, like, you definitely were, at least this couple of days, like you definitely watched more than I did. I didn't watch any of the series. I guess the only thing that I did watch that one day was Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I did not watch that.
That was like the only series or anything that I watched. Most of mine was, again, paragliding. I was even watching paragliding stuff in other languages, and then some of it was just informational and just things to help because I couldn't fly right now. Mm-hmm. Just things that I enjoy. A
big thing that I also learned was I have always historically been really committed to work. Like, that. I've had years of being a workaholic. Even though I would not consider myself a workaholic now, there's not a day that really goes by that I don't pay attention to work. And this was the first 2 weeks in forever in my whole life that I can remember that I literally did not work.
And you're still alive.
I am still alive. And it was good for me because it really made me realize how strong of support system I have around me. I've got amazing people that work with me. I've got a great team. I've set things up right. It felt really good to know that things weren't going to fall apart doing that. And it just made me even more committed to the importance of that, about having the right people on your team, to helping people get their business functioning right. Because I was okay.
Totally.
And that felt good. I also, for me, really learned the importance of staying committed to routine as much as you can, like listening to the positive stuff that I do, or podcast, or versus just scrolling, because it was interesting to see how quickly that turned my brain just in 2 weeks of not doing that.
Oh, it's huge. And that's a big thing, is just having awareness around social media, the news feed, because even if you don't watch the news, if you have a Facebook news feed, there's people that are, and they're sharing clips of this and that. And, even all of a sudden you have friends that are posting from a gas station that, we're waiting in line because they're running out of gas. And it's like these things start finding their way to you. Mm-hmm. And it's really about having the awareness of not going down that rabbit hole. We see it like having the thing to go, okay, this isn't serving me. I need to go to a place where there is something I can do about it. Because again, we were never designed as human beings. Now we have the internet to take on the world's problems. Like right now, something can happen and literally halfway around the world, everybody knows about it. It used to take a semi-truck full of equipment to get video from one place to another. Now every single one of us with a phone can send 4K video around the world instantly.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like, back in the day, you had to deal with the things in your world, and it took days for a courier to arrive with a paper. You weren't inundated with the world's problems or, at your fingertips. And that's what we have now with phones. Like you can go to the news and see everything that's bad in the world happening. And I think this is the biggest thing people need to realize. The news is not there to inform you. The news's number one goal is to sell advertising. They're a business. Like everybody thinks, no, they're not. They're a business. They're all for profit. They are there to sell advertising. And what keeps people coming back is fear. The news is much like they love it when things are going bad. It was a ratings boom. Like even when things are good, they try to find the bad in the good because that's what keeps people coming back for more.
Yeah.
And so it's just having the awareness that their goal is to sell advertising, and just think about how you feel. Because then it's like, you hear something bad. What do you want to do? You want to keep tuning in to see if it's going to turn good.
Yeah. And I definitely got sucked into this whole world of stuff I don't typically take in.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because we were talking about this today about having your head in the sand versus not having your head in the sand. And we were having a talk because I think we both agree it's important not to have your head in the sand and to be aware of things, but it's also really important to monitor, because if you are in a constant state of worry, and I know we went through this, if I'm in a constant state of worry and fear and scarcity and all the things, then I'm not able to contribute or add any value to anybody else. So I have to be really aware of that. I know I'm super sensitive to taking stuff in like that.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like but it's just, it's having the awareness. Okay, this is there. Okay, there's something that, all right, I got it. It doesn't, in this moment, there's nothing I can do about it. It doesn't serve me. It's not impacting me, my family, or anything direct around me. Noted, but I'm not just going to go down that rabbit hole.
What did you learn about me during this? I learned a few interesting things about you, being quarantined with you for 2 weeks.
What did you learn about me?
Well, I learned that this is PG-13. I'm sorry, this is rated R right now. I think my husband has the world's largest sex drive. I'm going to really be sure to say that. And there's only one thing in the world that makes him not have a sex drive, and that's having COVID. I've just figured that out.
I was tired.
It was fine.
It was like one morning, she's like, and I was just like, go eat,
gone.
Go feed flops, go do whatever.
And I thought he must really be sick.
I'm really good laying here. I don't even want to move. And
I learned that about you. I also learned that you're more reasonable than me, because the second I was feeling better, I'm like, let's go work out. He's like, no. You shut me down on that one.
I didn't really shut you down, but yeah, you have a history of doing that. And I used to have that history too. Because you go, I'm feeling better. I'm just going to pick back up where I left off. And it doesn't work like that. And
that does not work. I'm very clear now, because after the 2 weeks, then a whole nother week went by, and I did try to go and do kind of a low-key training session, and it didn't go so well. I had to end it early. I was tired. I came home and I ended up having to take a nap. It legit makes you worn out, and it's in us for a while.
You just have to be patient and just accept it.
Yes. I also learned, this isn't about you, but I learned that Baskin Robbins delivers on DoorDash, which I did not need to know. As a little kid, my favorite treat ever was Rocky Road ice cream from Baskin Robbins. It's not healthy. I'm not recommending it. But when we had our appetites back, I decided one night to order Baskin Robbins on DoorDash, and Brooks discovered that they had quarts of it. Or pints.
It was a quart. But here's the deal, because you have to. Who was it? DoorDash or whatever.
It was DoorDash.
But like, if you had to spend over $12, and plus just economically, like you can get a quart for like $2 more than like 2 scoops.
So that was the reason for the extra calories. But here's the problem with it.
Wait, but it's not. But it's the extra. It's the other 2 times you.
Yes, that was what I was about to say.
Yes,
it became a pattern really quickly. So my whole rule, and I've always been this way. If I want something like ice cream, my thing is I go and drive to the store and get a scoop and eat it. That's just what I don't keep it in the house. I don't want it around me. So this was that spiraled really quick. Like, yes, one night we get a pint.
I was surprised because that one night it showed up at the door. I didn't even know you ordered it.
Yep, I did.
You just started laughing.
Yep. And then I ordered it a second night, and then I ordered it a third night, and then I put a stop to it. And I said, this is not going to work for my girth.
This also kind of illustrates a difference between Natalie and I, because one of those times when she had ordered it and it came, I was like, huh? Like, I still had 3/4 of my last quart. Like, yeah. I'm perfectly capable of spreading it out over multiple days, and my wife just...
Nope.
Like, I'm a skimmer. Like, I eat it nice and neat. And I, like, slowly work down my quart. She's...
No, I had to dig for the marshmallows.
Is that what it is?
Yes. I would digging for the... Rocky Road has marshmallows. And, again, I'm not recommending this. It's not healthy. But I did it. I did. And it's done.
That does make sense. Just like we get this trail mix that has pineapples in it. And my wife will go in there and dig out all the pineapples.
Of course. That's the best part.
But... it's supposed to be like, I'm the type of person, like, I love the pineapples too, but it's like, I like to have the trail mix with the pineapples. So at the beginning and the end, but my wife will get the bag and just cherry pick all the pineapples out.
That's how it works best for me.
Exactly. For Natalie.
Okay. So what did you learn about me being quarantined with me for 2 weeks on the couch? I think we only had one argument. I don't even remember what we argued about, but I remember we argued about something on the couch one day. I don't remember, but that's the only argument we had.
I don't even remember us arguing.
That's good.
But I just remember, I mean, you know my things with you, so I just did my best to.
What are your things with? What do you mean?
Take care of you.
I know my things with me.
Just some stuff you already touched on. Like, I know, like, you like comfort, and instant sometimes isn't fast enough. So I just try to, you're like, I want food. And it's like, I like walked to the closet to get something so I could put my slippers on to go downstairs. You're like, is it here yet? I'm like, it's been 3 seconds.
Well, time escalates when you don't feel well.
I understand.
I will say my husband before he got sick, I was sick first, and we didn't know yet that it was COVID, and he was great at taking care of me.
Yes,
getting me the soup and all the things.
I'm just very patient and try my best to take care of you. And I just realized that I will never meet the instant requirement, but I just keep showing up in love.
What are you grateful for that whole experience?
I mean, really just the whole thing. I mean, I'm grateful that we're both healthy so that, I mean, I get it. There is a small percentage of people, like, it's not fun. And I could see, if someone is carrying a lot of extra weight, or you have some of these comorbidities with your lungs, like, like, I get it. And along those lines, it was just great to be healthy and also be in a place where we could just rest and let it run its course.
I feel very grateful for a lot of things. Like, one, that we do have a house with a backyard, so we could still get outside in the sun a little bit every day if we could get the energy to get outside. I feel grateful that we actually had each other to the comfort in that. I feel grateful that we had a stronger immune system and we were relatively healthy, because I realized how much harder this could have hit us. But
we've also, I mean, that's just been our lifestyle, though, was to, like, your first line of defense is your own health. Mm-hmm. I know it's true, but your health is your wealth.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health, it doesn't do you any good.
Yes, I fully feel that. But I am grateful too that we both got through it, that we have the antibodies now, and it was a whole, I feel like every setback in our lives always teaches us so much. And I feel like I had a whole a bunch of downloads and stuff come through to me around this. Just the importance of getting the message out about health so much more, the importance of really being mindful of what I'm taking in, because I really saw what that did to me watching just like endless TV or social for 2 weeks. It just, nothing good comes from that for me.
And it's not, here's the thing. I don't think it's just you. I think it's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's why we're seeing so many problems with, younger kids. I mean, they're dealing with things that we didn't have to deal with as kids. I mean, people are just inundated, and it comes down to this comparison. Like my news feed can be great or it can be demoralizing depending on what frame of mind you're in. There's always somebody's vacationing, buying something, new car. Like there's always something that looks amazing and exciting that's going on. And again, it's that, just like earlier, we're just inundated with all this stuff. We know that every single day can't be, private jets and parties all day long. But with social media, it can start to seem that way if you don't have awareness around it.
Totally. So if you didn't listen to my last episode, I did share the whole experience with COVID, what I learned, what I took during it, all the things there. I also do want to share, this is the first episode we've actually done together like this. We did one where I interviewed Brooks about his story, but let us know if you want more of our life updates. Talk to us. If you don't, you can tell us that too. That way we know. Is this something you want to hear? Are we interesting or are we not interesting? I don't know, Brooks. Are we interesting or not? We will find out from you. I also do want to let you guys know, if you are, and women, men, women, all of you, if you do want some help up-leveling your health and your fitness and all the stuff, which is what I believe truly was in place for us on why we did get through the other side pretty quickly. I am doing a totally free virtual training at the end of this month, in time of this release of this podcast. If you just go to nataliejillclass.com, you can jump in on that. I'm going to be talking through how to get and stay motivated, basic nutrition 101, also exercise, movement, and the pain cycle. So I'd love to have you in that. It's totally free. Just go to nataliejillclass.com, and I hope to see you in there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen in as my guest today. If you found this episode valuable, please share it with friends and on social media. I don't advertise this show, so I rely on word of mouth and reviews to get it out in the world. The biggest thank you that you can give me is leaving me a review, and a nice one, I hope, by the way. This is how others find these episodes. If you do leave me a review, be sure to message me at support@nataliejillfitness.com with a screenshot of your review, because I would love to send you a free digital download of my DSR journal as a thank you. And please don't forget to connect with me on social media at Natalie Jill Fit on Instagram and Facebook.